I'm honored to have this gentleman in with us. This is a guy who, he doesn't know this, but he changed my life. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed my thinking. And it is, when you understand, you can do it. And there are just some principles that that free you up. And when you start to embrace them, your life changes. Robert Kiyosaki is co-author of a new book with Donald Trump. It is called Midas Touch. He has sold, I don't know, how many billions of books, how many millions of books have you sold?
Over 30 million.
Over 30 million. He is here to tell us, and we were just talking off the air about, I can think like these radicals, and I know what's coming, but I can't help people prepare because I don't know. I'm not you. And I watched one of your seminars, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you believe the same stuff I do on what's coming.
Right.
Are we pretty close?
Right, very much so.
How do people prepare? Where do you even begin?
Well, as we were talking about during the break, is my question since I was a kid is how come there's no financial education in our schools? Is that just an oversight? Is that a mistake? Or is that, oh, we just forgot? You know, because rich or poor, smart or stupid, you know, working or unworking, we all use money. And for some reason, they seem to have forgotten that. And my poor dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii. He was a very good man, PhD. But he had that kind of belief that the love of money was the root of all evil. And he thought that the rich were evil. Whereas my rich dad was a man who thought my poor dad was evil. And it was so classic capitalist versus communist. You know, most school teachers, whether they know it or not, are socialist, verging on communist, some fascist.
Right.
They'll never know that because they don't study that.
Right.
So growing up as a kid from 9 years old, my rich dad was anti-union, and my poor dad was head of the teachers union. So as a kid, I'm sitting there going, you know, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, and I didn't know who to follow or believe. So I went to, in 1969, I had a good job with Standard Oil, and Vietnam War was still on. I was draft exempt because of the three-letter word, oil. And I quit my high-paying job with Standard in California, and I went to flight school for the Marine Corps, and I went to Vietnam. I wanted to find out who was telling the truth about war and why we were there. And I just wanted to find out, you know, check it out.
Wow.
So I went to Vietnam, and I came back, and it's exactly as you're saying. We're being lied to. You know, here I'm a Marine, and I now don't trust my government. Do you know how bad that makes you feel? Go, am I on the wrong side? You know, am I just a puppet for the oil companies?
Robert, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I read a book about 5 or 6 years ago. It's called The Blacklisting of History, and it was about Joseph McCarthy. I actually closed the book after like the first couple of chapters, and I thought, I have to think about this, because if I go down this rabbit hole, I don't know if I want to not trust my government, and I don't.
Yes.
I mean, we are all being lied to.
Yes.
So, I mean, I can relate.
It's not comfortable.
No, it's bad.
You know, you go, what have I been taught in school?
Right.
And so when I came back in 1973, my poor dad, the school teacher, was unemployed because he was a PhD, he's 50 years old, and he made the tragic mistake of running for political offices, for lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii, and he found out how dirty politics is. So here he is, the prime of life, 50-something, PhD, and unemployed, and I come home from the war. People are spitting at me because I'm a Marine, you know, calling me all the names in the world, and I come back and I said, I just lost so many of my friends. What did I fight for? And my dad is sitting there, and he says to me, he says, you know, you should go back to school, get your PhD, and get a job with the government. I said, Dad, you did that. It didn't work. He says, but you have to. And then I realized he didn't know anything else. You know, he was a product of his own educational system. And it's exactly as you were saying tonight. it's time you think for yourself. Not that it's popular, not that it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. You better have a gut check and say, what's right for me? What do I want to think? You know, am I just going to be told what to do and do what everybody else does and go along with the crowd? Or am I going to take a stand? And I want to talk to everybody out there. I said, this is the bravest guy I know, because I've watched you for years and going, this guy's crazy. I mean, you've got to be crazy to say what you're saying, because it's not popular. It's not popular.
Okay, it's not crazy because you don't believe it. It's crazy because
it's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
What you're saying is dangerous.
Why? In what way?
Because it's close to the truth. You're getting closer. You know, you get closer to it. And so I have tremendous respect for your courage and your leadership, because that's what's lacking in politics is leadership. And America really has a leadership problem, not an economic problem, if you look at it that way.
But really from the people. We don't know. We don't even lead in our own lives. It's this wild circle where we elect leaders to follow us, but we're not even leading them. They take it from us. So it's a circle where we're all just spiraling down a drain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we don't know. Okay, so first of all, could you show me the, what is this, how the system is rigged? Could you go to the chalkboard and show the system of how the system is rigged? I think this is one of the most fascinating things. By the way, Raj is here because Raj was with us on Liberty Treehouse today.
Which one did you want? This the quadrant?
Yeah. This is unbelievable. Watch this.
In the world of business and money, there are 4 different types of people, no matter where you are. E stands for employee, and our school systems do a great job of creating employees. That's what the mantra is, go to school to get a job. S stands for the smart guys. These are the doctors, lawyers, the self-employed, small business. So most people, I would say 95% are E's and S's because they went to school and got a job. The B stands for big business, and as you say, you don't trust them either, which is a good thing. And I stands for investor. Now there's very different types of investors. But the problem, the reason the big tax fight is on right now is in 1943, employees lost control of taxes. That was right in the middle of World War II. And at that point, they put in that withholding tax thing. So employees, whether you're the janitor or a CEO, you're taxed. You know, like guys like, his name. Anyway, they're taxed the highest. 1986, the small business owner, the doctors and lawyers lost their rights too. The only people that have tax benefits.
How did they lose their rights in 1986?
It was they took away the rights these guys have. See, these guys, I hate to say this, I'm not saying it's fair. You know, that's why my book is called The Unfair Advantage.
Yeah.
Is these guys can pay 0 tax. I'm not saying
this is the Warren Buffett thing.
That's
the argument that's going on now. I know, it hacks me off too. But that's what the case is. They're saying they don't pay. These billionaires don't pay any taxes.
Well, it goes back to what you said. Who makes the tax law? It's the golden rule, right? Who has the goal makes the rules.
Right.
Why does GE pay no tax?
Because they help make the rules.
Yes.
Yes.
And this idea that your vote counts is the biggest lie, because after the McCain-Feingold, you know, they tried to get the campaign spending laws under control, and the Supreme Court wiped them out.
Right.
Today, if you don't have $1 million, you don't have a vote. That's the truth. So what happens is, I'm not saying it's fair, people get angry at me, but I operate on this side. I made my choice back in 1973 when I came back from Vietnam. I said, I'm going to join my rich dad. I'm going to understand what he knows. It's my choice of what goes into my head and who tells me what to do. See, most people over here are like sheep. They go to school to get a job. They go, why am I paying tax? Because you weren't taught anything about it. And then worst of all, then they put their money in 401ks and IRAs. The worst tax thing you can put your money into. See, Glenn, what you're saying is true. The truth will set you free, but the truth is in tax law. You see, if you understand tax law, you will understand the truth. And these guys here make the rules simply because they have the money.
Okay, so I'm an S.
Right. You pay a lot more tax than I do.
Right. But I want to be an S.
Yes.
I want to be an entrepreneur. I believe in the power of the individual. I don't want to be a B.
Let me make something. S stands for small entrepreneur. This is big entrepreneur. It doesn't really make any difference. You know, it's in the tax law. So let me give you the clue, okay?
Okay.
The tax code is 1,000-something pages, whatever it is. It's really a code on tax incentives or stimulus plans.
Right.
They tell you, I do what capitalism is. The tax law says, if you do what I want done, we'll give you a tax break. So I have tons of real estate. I have apartment houses. I get huge tax breaks because the tax department or the government wants me to provide housing. If I didn't provide housing, it would be communism with government housing. So the tax code is really capitalist. And they're saying, if you guys do this, you provide housing, you'll get a tax break. What you do is this, you're getting huge tax breaks also because you employ people. And the government wants us to create jobs. The trouble is these guys don't see it that way. The other thing that I invest in heavily is oil, but not oil stocks. If we don't have oil, civilization, as we know, stops. So I'm always incentivized to drill for more oil through oil partnerships, not oil stocks. That's the tax law. And if you understand tax law, you'll understand why the rich are getting richer.
How can we stop this? I mean,
become capitalists. Do what the government wants done. I build apartment houses. I provide housing for all of the, you know, when the subprime.
But you know what? You are being targeted now, though, too. I mean, I have a friend who's, I have John Huntsman Sr. is a good friend of mine, and he built a smart guy and builds hospitals and everything. He's giving everything away.
Yes.
Okay. He's done it all right. He's under attack too.
Yes.
So how do you stop it from having the control? I don't want to do what somebody else wants me to do. I'm not a trained little monkey. I'm not going to dance to their song.
It's being, let me just say it this way, okay?
Okay.
Great. Everybody thinks these guys are greedy. These are the greediest. This side is generous. You see, the more housing I provide, the more generous I am. These guys don't provide any housing. This is Buffett's secretary. She doesn't provide any jobs. Why should you give her a tax break? You see, everything is reversed. This is a mirror. So the more
this is such an upside down.
It's exactly right. And you are, Glenn, being extremely generous by being so courageous.
Right.
I think it's stupid, but you're being courageous. You are very generous. You know, Donald Trump is my friend. He's one of the most generous men I've ever met. You know, he flew his jet out to pick people up, to take them to hospitals.
Right.
He doesn't tell anybody that.
Right.
But people just hate him, you know, because he's a rich guy.
Well, I mean, I know people like that. I mean, we try to be We try to be that way as a company. You conduct yourself in a generous sort of way,
Yes.
and it keeps coming back to you.
Well, it goes biblical. The more you give,
Right.
the more you receive.
Right.
The trouble with unions is I'm not saying they're wrong because they have a purpose. You know, they have a viewpoint, and my father was union. But they think they should work less and get paid more. That's not capitalism. Capitalism is really about providing a better product at a better price, constantly. Look at Apple. You know, they provide great products at good prices and all this. They're winning today.
Right.
And look at the guys.
Capitalism is creative destruction. Capitalism,
yes, exactly.
Right. I mean, Apple didn't go and try to undermine IBM. They went out and just created a better product.
Glenn, they're doing what you did.
Yeah.
You give the customer what they want.
Right.
What a novel idea.
I know.
You know, so here you are. You're giving people what they really want is kind of the truth. You know, what is really going on here?
Right.
And you will be always successful as long as you're generous.
Okay.
But these guys here don't provide that much. You see, like my doctor can only do so many surgeries per day. He charges a huge fee. You know, he does pro bono work and all that. I'm not saying he's a greedy person, but professionally, he can't be that generous because there's only one of him. It's just, they're not bad people. I'm not saying good or bad.
Okay, but what about, let's go to the banks. Let's talk about the banks. I don't have a problem. I don't think that there are, I think there are bad bankers and
Yes.
greedy people
Yes.
and bad policies, and they usually become bad and greedy and awful when they collude with the government. That's
Most
when we have
banker-
real problems.
Most bankers are here.
How do you mean? They're
The CEOs,
employees?
they're employees. The CEO, you can listen to this guy named John Bogle of Vanguard Funds. He says some of the worst people are the CEOs of companies today. They've ripped off America. They've ripped off the shareholder. Okay, I mean, I understand this is a mindset. You know, go to school, get a job. Over here is go to school, become a doctor. You know, you must have a profession to fall back on. These guys charge by the hour or by, you know, they charge high fees.
Right.
Capitalists have to provide a better product at a better price. We have to be generous. That's like what you're doing. You have GB TV.
Right.
I have Rich Dad TV, RD TV. And I give my information away for free. I say, hey, come and take it. Take it. Use it. You know, and they say, why are you so successful? Because we're generous. Not the brightest guys, but we're generous.
Okay, come on back here for a second. What do you think is coming right now? What do you think is headed our way?
Well, I was talking to so many people. I pick it up in you're using the word. It's called collapse.